We're going to be looking at articles 8, 9, and 13. So playing time, starting and ending at quarters, how the ball is played. But we're going to look at article 13 first. Now, the reason being for this is because typically in article 8 and 9, I would probably say a majority of that is seen or known by most experienced officials. Heck, you could even say coaches and players and even participants to an extent. So we'll start with 13. That might have more things that might catch people off guard or might need a refresher on. So let's dive in with how the ball is played, article 13. During the game, the ball is played with the hands only and may be passed, thrown, tapped, rolled, or dribbled in any direction subject to the restrictions of these rules. A player shall not run with the ball, deliberately touch the ball, kick, or block it with any part of the leg, or strike it with the fist. Now remember, this is deliberately kicking or touching it with your foot. If you were to accidentally come in contact with or touch the ball with any part of the leg, it is not a violation. It has to be deliberate, not accidental. In these cases, the penalty will be a throw-in to the place nearest to the infraction. Now we'll look at the interpretations. So how the ball is played. We know the statement already that you can only play with your hands only. It's a violation if you put it between your legs to fake a pass or a shot, which is shown in this interpretation here, 13-2. You cannot put it between the legs to pass fake or fake a shot. It's a violation because you touched it deliberately with your leg. The other example is 13-3, where you use your head to deliberately touch the ball. Remember, this is deliberately using your head to touch the ball. This doesn't mean if it accidentally hits your head. So it would be a violation to use your head to play the ball. 13-4, you can't increase a player's height or reach by lifting a teammate to play the ball. So in 13-5, A1 embraces and lifts teammate A2 under the opponent's basket. And then it says A3 passes the ball to A2 who dunks in the basket. Regardless of who passes the ball, who has the ball, if you try to help up your teammate and give them a boost to increase their height or reach, it is a violation. Okay, now onto Article 8, playing time, tied score, and overtime. So when we have the interval of play, which is 20 minutes before the game is scheduled to start, referees are supposed to be on the court. They could be getting warmed up. They're there to monitor the warm-up. I've been through so many videos of gameplay, and it's really hard to find a clip of anyone starting a game that early. So you can barely see it, but on the shot clock, it shows that at the 20-minute mark, the 3 referees walk in. In a game, here's a general overview. It consists of 4 quarters of 10 minutes each. And in this little diagram, it shows the 4 quarters of 10 minutes. And between the quarters, there's a 2-minute break. And then the halftime, which is between quarter 2 and 3, it's a 15-minute interval. There shall be the intervals of play of 2 minutes between the first and second quarter, first half, and between the third and fourth quarter, second half, and before each overtime. After the second quarter ends, we will have a halftime interval of play of 15 minutes. An interval of play starts, as we know, 20 minutes before the game is scheduled to start, as we saw before, and when the game clock signal sounds for the end of quarter are overtimes. So that's when an interval of play starts. When it ends, so to start the game, the first quarter, when the ball leaves the hands of the crew chief on the toss for the jump ball in the center circle, not when it gets tapped, when the ball releases from their hands. Then at the start of all other quarters and overtime, when the ball's at the disposal of the throw-in. If the score is tied at the end of the fourth quarter, the game shall continue with as many overtimes of 5 minutes duration, each as necessary to break the tie. If a foul is committed near the end of a quarter and overtime, the referee shall determine the remaining playing time. A minimum of 0.1 seconds shall be shown on the game clock. So if there is a foul before, that means it happened before time expires. So at minimum, we should have a 0.1 on the clock. If a technical, unsportsmanlike, or disqualifying foul is committed during an interval of play, any eventual free throws shall be administered before the start of the following quarter or overtime. So in this case, after the quarter expires, T-Mac kicks the ball, he gets a T for it, he kicks it again, that's a second T, which DQs him, disqualifies him, so the other team will shoot 2 free throws before the start of the next quarter. This interpretation, 8-2, has a lot of information, so I'll try to simplify. It's basically when we have a foul near the end of the quarter where the game clock signal sounds. So B1 fouls A1. They were in their act of shooting before the game clock signal sounds for the end of the quarter. Referees will consult each other immediately to determine if the foul occurred before the game clock signal sounded. If they deemed it did occur before that, A1 will shoot 2 free throws if they missed the shot. A1 will shoot 1 free throw if they made the shot, and they will count it. Then the game clock will be reset to the time remaining when the foul occurred, because it happened before the game clock expires, so you have to put time on the clock. Now, if they decide that the foul occurred after the game clock signal sounded, then the foul will be disregarded. And if they made the shot, it does not count. However, if B1's foul meets the criteria of an unsportsmanlike foul or disqualifying foul, and there's a quarter or overtime to follow, it will not be disregarded. It'll be penalized accordingly and before the next quarter or overtime starts. And this will count towards Team B fouls in the following quarter. 8-3 is basically 8-2's bottom that we highlighted in red, where it talks about the foul occurred after the game clock signal sounded. That is disregarded because the foul happened after time expired. Now, if it meets the criteria of unsportsmanlike and disqualifying, like we said, this clip shows it, that if there's a following quarter or overtime, they will be penalized for it. Article 9, start and end of a quarter, overtime, or the game. So as we know, the first quarter starts when the ball leaves the hands of the crew chief on the toss for the jump ball in the center circle. Every game starts with the jump ball. And as we've learned before, all other quarters or overtime start when the ball is at the disposal of the thrower in. Typically, you won't find this at a higher level of basketball. You'll find it at lower levels and rec levels, even adult league. The game cannot start if one or both teams are not on the court with 5 players ready to play. You'll notice later that you can have less than 5 players on the court, but you must start the game with 5 players. You can't start with 4 or less. For all games, the first team named in the schedule, which is the home team, shall have, when facing the court from the scores table, their team bench on the left-hand side of the scores table. It's warm-up before the game in the half court in front of its team bench. However, if both teams agree, they may exchange the team benches and or warm-up half courts for the first half. Teams shall exchange their warm-up half courts and baskets for the second half. So as you can see, before we have our jump ball, white is warming up in front of their bench. Then we come to the interval of play of halftime, and white is now warming up opposite to their bench. This is the direction they will maintain if we have any additional overtime. So all overtimes the team shall continue to play towards the same baskets as they did in the fourth quarter, which would be the same basket they have in the third quarter. A quarter, overtime, or game shall end when the game clock signal sounds for the end of quarter or overtime. When the backboard is equipped with red lighting around its perimeter, the lighting takes precedent over the game clock signal sound. In this clip, we have a very close call. You'll see that the game clock has zeros before the lighting on the backboard lights up. That with this close of a call, you have the backboard lights take priority because there could be a discrepancy in those situations. For the interpretations 9-2, at the start of the second half, Team A cannot present 5 players on the court because of injuries, disqualifications, etc. The obligation to present a minimum of 5 players is only valid at the start of the game, like we've mentioned before. So as long as you start the game with that, you can continue to play with fewer than 5 players. In this clip, we have a little bit of a scuffle that has players entering the court. And by the rules of situations that may lead to a fight, players leaving the bench area will be disqualified. Now for here, they're kicked out and we only have the 5 players on the floor for the white team. This white team has multiple scenarios happen, not only injuries, but as an excluded player, a player that gets 5 fouls. So the 5 remaining players, there's no players on the bench to sub in. We have number 12 that gets a foul. They are now an excluded player. So now they have to play 4 on 5. So as you can see, game continues. Now we have an injury to number 33. Because they are injured, they only have 3 available players and they're playing 3 on 5. This can continue throughout the game. For the 9-5 interpretations, it's very hard to find game film of right after the start of the game, players are going the wrong direction. So in this clip here, it's a little bit later in the game. But we have a scenario that has the teams going in the wrong direction. So the ball goes out of bounds on red. Red becomes the throw-in. Referees don't notice, and then they start going in the wrong direction. They start attacking their hoop that they were defending. There's some confusion. Afterwards, the referees get together, they go to the table, and they fix the error. 9-7, we have a situation on a jump ball, so starting the game, whether there's a foul before or after the ball has left the hands of the crew chief on the toss, the open jump ball. So if it happens before, the first quarter has not yet started, therefore there's a foul during the interval of play before the start of the game, we still start the game with a jump ball. Regardless of what occurs before, game always starts with a jump ball. Second situation, which we have 2 videos on, is a foul right when the first quarter has started. So after the ball has left the crew chief's hands, we have a foul. So we call the foul, and then how we administer the penalty depends on what type of foul it is. But in both cases, the foul will count towards Team B's fouls, or whoever fouled in the first quarter. In 9-8, during the interval of play before the game, so between that 20-minute warm-up mark when the officials are on the floor to the jump ball, we can have situations that occur. And in this case, a technical foul was given out. So because of that, they get to shoot 1 free throw before we start the jump ball. However, the only thing in this interpretation is only one of the starting 5s can attempt the free throw with no lineup. You cannot just bring in a sub to shoot the technical foul and leave. Whoever is on the starting 5 gets to shoot the technical foul that occurs in an interval of play before the game has started. 9-9 just talks about something other than a technical foul, so like an unsportsmanlike foul. If there is one before the start of the game, in this case it would be B1, they will attempt 2 free throws with no lineup. If B1 is confirmed as one of the 5 players to start the game, they'll start on the court. If they're not one of them, they will not remain on the court. They'll go to the bench. In this case, B1 was part of their starting lineup, so they were part of the jump ball to start the game. Last interpretation, A1 is one of the Team A starting 5 players during the interval play of 7 minutes before the game. They become injured or they get hit with a disqualifying foul. Then in both of these cases, that player will be replaced with another player in their starting lineup, and Team B, so the other team, is entitled to replace one of its starting 5 players if they wish.